And then when I looked into the comments and how everybody's pretty much coming after me for saying black men complain too much, they said, well, women complain all the damn time too. They've been doing it for years. You mean to tell me we can't complain too? And then I was just like, are we there? So, Uncle Rama Lucario, was this? And actually, I'm gonna have the you're the guest, Lucario. So I'm gonna ask you: was this Pookie and Ray Ray 3.0 that's complaining about women too much?
Well, I think mainly the guys that complain about women a lot generally are the guys who are experiencing a certain side of women that they don't like because they're not the type of guys that are experiencing the type of or the side of women that are that I would say is cooperative, pleasurable, like you know what I mean? Like they're not even that end of the spectrum. So I was even talking about this on my show earlier where I said that, you're gonna have two types of guys. You're gonna have one guy, and I think Ram, you talk about this too with the select and non-select, and it's just basically saying that there's a woman is gonna treat one guy this way, and she's gonna treat another guy that way. So you could literally have the same woman treating two guys two different ways. And it's
I
so
say that all the time, man.
right,
That's just a reality, man.
yeah. So and so the guys that are complaining usually are the guys who are living the reality of the guys that women aren't really interested in. Those are the guys that they kind of play around with. They flake on those guys. They use them for money. And so I always tell guys, you got to figure out or even be aware of what type of guy that women perceive you to be. And it doesn't necessarily mean you stay in that zone, but it's just understanding, having the awareness that, hey, you might be getting the short end of the stick because of how you're showing up in the game and how you're showing up in the situations. You know what I'm saying?
You know what? And I agree with everything Mr. Lucario's talking about. That's all that's in my books, because my books, I talk about select and non-select. And some people think it's just some, you just stay there and everything. That's life. No, my whole point in my books, when I say non-select, I'm giving you a diagnostic tool. Every man can become select. It's not hard, but you can't. And I tell guys all the time, don't get stuck. Okay, you had some problems with women. Learn from it and move on. Learn from it, seriously, because the thing I learned when I would get rejected is like, okay, that type don't like me. Like, okay, and let me piss off some of your people when you show this on YouTube, because they say I brag and stuff. But the women who I learned early, okay, this type of woman, she built this way, she don't like me. But if she like a brick house, some thick woman with a nice butt dump, they'll say something to me. I mean, so one the other dude, yesterday morning I was doing something. She had a baby and stuff. She's like, hey, I'm like, hey, I was like, you got a fat ass, okay? Like, I'm just looking at it. But I learned, I basically learned. I said, okay, if I talk to a woman this way, there's a problem. So let me change up. Let me change up. In fact, I've even had some women I've approached when I was like a teenager. And they were like, I remember I walked up to one woman, I just gave her my phone number, right? Just said my number. She said, hold up, baby, hold up. Come on now. Come on, you got to talk to me a bit more. And I took it. I just like, okay. Because I don't care who you are as a player, ladies, man, womanizer. Somebody rejected you. It's just your attitude. Do you stick on that one woman and reject you? You say, hold up, let me learn from this and refine what I do. And that's it. But a lot of these guys, they stay stuck. And then they think you got a problem because you successful. They like, oh, that's just snake oil that you selling and stuff. And I'm like, did you try what we're saying?
Right.
Now, coming from two coaches like yourselves, I saw a lot of low self-esteem, broken shit. Like these dudes really defended complaining. Like, how dare you? How dare you come over and say that we need to stop doing this shit? Like, dude, there's no space for us to complain. And plus, when we complain, that's how we get over shit. That's how we vent. But I'm like, but it's still going on. It's still continuing. But now that now that I got two coaches here, starting with you, Lucario,
Right.
when you get a client Are the majority, or I'm actually, let me start over. Are the majority of your clients, when they first sign up, or I don't know if you do one-on-ones, or well, those that join the Bad Boy membership, they email or you do one-on-ones. Do you see that the majority of these men are broken first, like broken, burnt out, depressed because, or divorced? Are they broken?
I'd say, I mean, I wouldn't say most of them. I say there are some that come through that's like that, but again, I think the reason why is because they just don't have a level of awareness to understand why they're living a certain experience. You see what I'm saying? And so, you know, what I try to get guys to understand is that, because when you talk about the guys complaining or sort of you know, fighting to complain, like, well, I got to complain because I got this complaint about this and that. The problem is that they don't understand the position or the position that they should be in the dynamic between themselves and women. So I look at it like this. Like, let's say, have you ever seen a person working at a job, right? They're an employee at a company. The employee might complain about the company or some other thing they have an issue with. But the boss is never really complaining about the workers. You never see the boss come in and just say, hey, you guys, you just get it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have bosses that'll be hard on you, but they're not complaining about the employees. Either they get employees that they like to work in a company, or they fire them. And that's really like where
Right.
down to. You see what I mean? And so the thing is that as a man, you have to see yourself as that boss. You have to see yourself as, you know, whatever is in my situation is my creation. So if I'm complaining, then I have to look at myself in the mirror and see what I need to do to fix my situation, and not necessarily compare yourself to women. Because, you know, a lot of guys say, well, the women are complaining, how come we can't complain? Well, I'm like, well, women like to, you know, I don't know if I can curse or whatever, or say I'm crazy, but women like to suck dick. So I'm like, do you want to suck dick because women sucking dick? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I'm sure you don't want to do that too. You don't want to do it because you see what I mean? So be a man and understand what you as a man have to do to fix your situation. You see what I'm saying? That's what they got to understand.
It's not so much they venting. It's like, okay, you vented. Now what?
Right.
Just solve
That's
the
what I was
problem. That's all
saying.
I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
Just solve the problem. Look, there's nothing wrong with venting. Sometimes you got to get something out, but you don't keep doing it. That's the issue I have.
Right.
You don't keep doing it. You figure, okay, you got to do something. All right, you having some problems with these women. Okay, change yourself. Maybe it's the type of women you dealing with. See, I don't have a problem with somebody saying, well, maybe we need to deal with a type of woman, right? Even though that's still not quite the solution, because the reality, and I've told women this just to be clear, because I know somebody here is, well, you jumping on the men, not the women. I've told men and women this, clients and stuff. If
Nah,
you
we're
having
jumping on
all
the men
these
tonight,
problems,
Rob. We're jumping on the
yeah,
men tonight,
but
Rob. Let's
hey,
go.
I'm just saying, though, you know how somebody gonna say, hey, you just jumping on the men.
Right.
But I'm gonna say it for both. I'm gonna say, and I especially for men though. I say, look, if you keep dealing with some women who trying to play you for money or something, the only thing all these women got in common is you. What is it about you that they only seeing you as non-select?
Right.
What are you doing? See, men, we don't just sit around. Women sit around and complain and talk. In fact, some women get mad if you try to give them solutions. Men, we figure out what to do. You
Right.
know, like I promote like the body game, and that's just the base of what I promote. And I just had a client tonight, and we talked about approaching and talking to women and flirting and stuff. I said, but he wanted to learn though. He wasn't
Yeah.
complaining. He did the work. See, men just got to do the work. That's the thing. And see, men take action. That's the thing. That's the thing. And I always promote that. I'm always for that. That's why I say I'm that big on like streams and stuff, just complain. That's why I say it's rare I'm saying anything negative about women. Not that I don't recognize what they do. Most I say is leave them alone and work on yourself so you don't have to deal with them.
Right.
Yeah.
That's facts.
Now, I wanted to go ahead and address a comment that somebody had left on the video. I can't remember if it was a comment that was left on my gram or my video, or shit, I can't remember. But they mentioned how black men, especially, they love black men, they love the brothers, but they always got to come at us so aggressive. Like they always got to holler, literally holler. And then so they said that they can't even stay in their, she said she can't even stay, I'm paraphrasing, in their feminine state to where she wants to be polite because now they come off pushy. And then at the end of the day, when she's pretty much giving them a respectful rejection, that's when she gets cut. Are the ladies right when they're just like, this is why we don't pretty much engage with y'all anymore because of this foul energy that you guys are displaying. If you look in the comments, you can only imagine what they're probably doing with the ladies when they get a soft rejection. So, Lucario, all the ladies right.
Right. Well, the thing is this: you got to understand. I think the guys don't understand from a woman's perspective a lot of times because, you know, if they're the guys are coming from their perspective. So imagine if you're a guy who hasn't had a woman in like a year and a half, you know what I mean? You haven't had sex, you're thirsty, you're like, man, I need to get something going, and you approach a woman, you talk to her, and she rejects you, and you've been getting rejected, so you're gonna have a certain type of energy because of that. So you're feeling a certain type, but again, that's still coming from the situation where you're not experiencing certain things when it comes to dealing with women. And this is why even and shout out to Ron, because I love that you promote the body game, because what a lot of guys don't understand about that is that even just off the physical, right? If you work on that, that's going to make certain women interact with you differently than if you're working on that. You see what I'm saying? Because you're taking part of what makes you attractive and making that more attractive. So therefore, you're going to get more women who's going to respond to you more favorably. A lot of times, dudes is getting rejected because they disregard all of the things that make them that's supposed to make them attractive. So they don't work on their body, they don't work on their appearance, they don't work on their mouth, not working on nothing. And then they wonder why they go up to a woman, the woman's resistant, and then that makes the guy even more angry and frustrated, which makes him even more, like he has that like angry energy when he goes to the next girl and the next girl and the next girl. So it becomes a cycle because the guy refuses to do any form of self-improvement to get him to the level to where he can actually get better experiences with women.
A lot of guys ain't looking at themselves. What can I do to improve? What can I do to win? Because, for example, let's use the example of just getting a job. If you keep going for a job and they don't hire you, or you on jobs and they keep firing you, you got to look at yourself.
Right.
You got 100% control over that. And like I said, forget the women part. If it's a job, you need money. What you gonna do? Keep complaining they ain't hiring you, or you gonna like look at yourself and deal with it? Because you got to eat, ultimately, right? You got to eat and sleep, so you need to deal with that. And unfortunately, you have a portion of men who don't. They don't stand up as men. Men make stuff happen. We take action. We figure out stuff. That's what we're supposed to do, and that's actually what something that turns on women. I don't care how independent women talk they are or whatever. That man look at it and say, baby, I got this. Just sit down. I got this. Or I'm going to take care of this. I'm just going to take over. I'm just going to be dominant. The women going to respond and you get stuff done. You feel good because you took care of this problem. That's why I say on these live streams, they need to be discussing solutions. That's only like you can point out the problem. Okay, you got the problem. All right, here's what we do for it. That's what me and Locario do. When we talk to people, we telling them how to solve a particular problem. In fact, and it's interesting, I don't get complainers who hit me up. They usually just want some tweaking in what they doing. That's what I get. The guys who contact me privately, they'll say, okay, Uncle Rom, I did this and that. What else do I need to do? All right, boom, boom, boom. I give them a specific thing to do. I say, all right, you need to be saying hi to 3 women a day. At least. So you get used to it. Then, and I say, you don't have to like necessarily like the woman and want her. It can be random women. That way, when you see that one you actually want to get with, you ain't nervous or anything. Right. It's very simple. That's free game right there. Just easy to talk to them. Because women, shoot, sometimes that's all they need is conversation from you. You don't even need a line or anything. They just need an open.
Let's go ahead and stick with that blueprint. Body, check. Mouthpiece, check. Rejected, check. Did they go for the low-hanging fruit? Are dudes complaining because they're actually getting turned down by the chicks that they thought they can pull instead of going after what they actually want? Because this does not sound like a bunch of dudes who are complaining about a bunch of like, they hollered at like the hottest chick that they thought was hot of them. Most dudes get hella mad when like, and no offense to, any of my ladies that's watching right now. I gotta use the scale just to make my point. I gotta use the scale just to make my point.
Right.
You're hollering out a 4 or 5 and she like, bye. Is that really where the complaint is coming from? Because they're hollering at something that they thought they could pull, but it just didn't work out. So they mad because they got smashed down by a 5.
What they'll do is that they go for what they think is safe. They're like, well, she's not that attractive, so let me go and get that situation. And then when that woman rejects him, he feels even worse because he's like, wait a second, I can't even get her. That's like
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? And then it's just like, no, but what they don't understand is that, again, it's they're creating the situations that's causing that to happen. You see, a lot of guys, what they'll do is that they, even them talking to the girl who they consider like the average to below average looking woman, right? They're looking at it like the girl who's hotter is out of their league in the first place. So they're trying to, because I had guys, they said to me, they'll say, hey, should I start with talking to ugly girls and then try to go for hotter girls? And I'm like, bro, what are you doing? Like, just that mentality, you're already putting a really hot woman on a pedestal. That's one. Two, what happens is I think a lot of times guys need to stop worrying about trying to get the hottest girl ever, because most dudes, what they're doing now is on a subconscious level, they're trying to get women that not necessarily they want, but they're getting women they're trying to get the women that they think they should have based off of what other people think is the hot girl. So it's like they might like a certain type of girl, but to impress their friends, they're going to try to talk to some other who they might not even really be that interested in or whatever. And then so they pressure on themselves to try to get that girl. And then when things don't work out with that girl either, they're upset about all of the situations just in general. And on top of that, and this is the crazy part, when some of these guys do get the types of women that they think are hot or whatever, most of these dudes, they can't even handle having that type of woman in their situation, because a lot of dudes, they don't really like, it's like their game is so weak that they're not used to having the types of women they want. So when they sort of quote unquote luck up to get that girl, they're so anxious of losing her, they end up losing her because they're holding on too tight because they're scared to lose her. So when another dude is trying to talk to her or he's checking her out or whatever, because that's what happens when you get really hot women, you're definitely going to get other guys checking her out or trying at her constantly. And I always say to guys, can you handle that? And most guys can't handle that.
Guys going for low hanging fruit. That's saying something about you, because I've seen several times a lot of the more attractive women, guys so scared of them, like they're friendly. If a guy just say hi to them and just be cool with them.
Right.
Don't hold back. Because my feeling coming up was, if I gotta get rejected, she better be fine as hell. So I said, shoot, I'm going there. And a lot of times they friendly anyway. And in fact, I saw there were times when, I felt, it's like I disqualified myself. So when I talk to young men, I said, look, man, if you feel, first of all, that woman picking up that you ain't really feeling her. She picking up on that. And so it's like, don't lie to yourself. If you ain't feeling her, don't approach her or wait or whatever you're going to do. Talk to her. Just be like, hey, how you doing today? Something. You never know. It's better you go there and stuff. And once you get used to that, in fact, every man should just, they should have a certain level that they say they ain't going to go below.
Right.
And everything. Feel good about yourself. Because one of the things I've been talking about is a man really valuing what he brings to the table. See, that's another thing too. A lot of these guys complaining. They need to look at what they bringing and stuff. And not necessarily for the woman, but just for life, period. We supposed to do certain things, which we should be doing for ourselves. And this is what you giving the woman. We giving the woman a D. We acting like we want what she got. But shoot, they getting pleasure from what we bring.
Right.
And we got, and see, it comes down to self-esteem, though. It really does. A lot of men, unfortunately, probably might even need therapy or something. Some is deep. And I've even told some men, say, you know what, I can't really help you. You need to get professional help.
That's where I wanted to go, Rom. I wanted to go right there. As coaches, starting with Locario, do these dudes, even the ones that call in complaining, do they even like women? Now, remember, they've been fit. If anybody jumped on the whole red pill shit, the whole black pill pump and dump shit, us three, we actually love the company women. We like women. We don't mind women. We love talking to women. We like to have fun with them. Do these dudes even like Women.
You get some guys, they really don't. Like that whole pump and dump thing, and I've said this several times. I'm like, if a woman fine, like say she a good 7, you gonna pump and dump her? She got that nice butt dunk.
Right.
You know, I gotta say
Well,
the
that butt dunk.
bustices. I prefer the buttock. So, dude, whatever you like. I'm like, wait a minute, you got this woman feeling you. She fine. You gonna pump and dump her?
Right. Exactly.
First of all, they capping anyway when they say that. Come on now. It's like she fine. Okay, I can see if she really low hanging fruit and you desperate. I can see that, though. You shouldn't even go there, but I can see that. But you know, you capping, you talking about, yeah, I'm gonna pump and dump that fine woman. Come on now. All you have to do is don't put on a pedestal. Don't put on a pedestal. Don't put up with any crap from her. But come on. Right. But it is. A lot of dudes need to do some serious work, even beyond just trying to get a woman or something. Like serious work, like mental health professional, spiritual counselors, something, because they might have legitimately have something. And it might be better if they, stay offline and go find that help, go deal with the issues. And that's for their life, not to get women, for their life.
As far as if do they like women, I look at it like this. I think these guys, they love women, but a lot of them don't like women. You understand? Meaning they love them, things where it's because you have to love women to be talking about them, complaining about them all the time, and just having them on your mind all the time. Even, for example, a lot of the content creators who are MGTOWs and all this other, all they talk about is women all day. So they love women. You feel what I'm saying? But they may not really like women. And this is the interesting part. That is actually the reason why they have issues dealing with women, because you have to like women to actually be able to attract women, because there needs to be an actual positive energy going towards women to you. If you don't like women, or you feel like there's something wrong with them and they're messed up in this and this and that, it's going to be hard for you to attract the woman, because when you're talking to any particular woman, in the back of your head, you still have that negative energy and that anger and that frustration about what she is and how she is, and she's going to do this to me, she's going to be this way to me. And that's why it's hard for you to attract women, because you don't really like them, you don't like the company of them, so therefore it's going to be hard for you to attract and keep that woman.
You might say something, you might be talking to a woman and talking a certain way, but she's reading your body language, the look in your face, your posture, and everything. And if you got an issue, she's going to pick up on it, because that's just the nature of women. They be looking at the whole package. We might just listen to the words, but they looking at your facial expressions. I've said that about guys who caught up in jawline, all that stuff. And I said, but they more looking at how you looking, the look in your eyes and stuff, your body language and all of that. They reading a whole bunch of stuff that even some women, we might not even know, because women, they really got their own world for some stuff. So they checking out some stuff you ain't even thinking about. And if a man has that dislike or some issue, they gonna pick up on it.
Are we hated? Now, I'm not saying them niggas hate me, but they probably do, because I called them out. But are they really mad because they mad at confident niggas? Is that a possibility?
Oh yeah, you gotta understand something. A lot of guys, and I think Ram, you might have did a video about this, about for example, even just a handsome dude to get hate because he's handsome, and other guys know that women want him and stuff like that, right? Or they're him because of his looks or whatever. It's like that. Then you have guys who will hate on you for being confident, because what happens is you'll be a confident dude, and the guys who hate on you are the guys who see the confidence in you, but they feel like they could never be confident themselves. So this is why they hate you. Versus there's other guys who get inspired by your confidence. So they're like, man, I like the way he's confident. I could rock with that. And so the problem is you have certain guys who they feel that they will never be able to be that way because they don't see it in themselves. So they're looking at you like, why you like yourself so much? Or why you think you like that's what's going on in their head, because they can't fathom a person actually liking themselves that way. And then this is the funny part, especially if you're the type of person who likes yourself, or you have that feeling about yourself just based off of you and not based off of any flash. Like, I'm not, having I got all this money, I got all these cars, I got you're just like, yo, I'm just being me. So the fact that you're you. And some of these guys think that they're like, well, I'm being me and I still feel like shit. You know what I'm saying? So they got to tap into their own confidence and see that's why they hate, because they see within you what they feel that they can't be. Even though they can, they just they're not tapping into it. You know what I'm saying?
Confident people, one of the main things that makes someone's confident, it ain't some genetics or something like that. You done been through some shit.
Right.
you done been through some stuff and you survived. Because,
Mm-hmm.
I've told people at 56, that's why sometimes people say, oh, you don't know what's going on out here. Dude, you don't know what I know out here. You don't know what I know out here. I don't sit in the house all day. Shoot, I got trouble. If I'm sitting still in the house, I'm asleep.
Right.
So I'm like, shoot, I be out all the time and I got teenage sons, so I gotta know what's going on. And whatever I faced, I was like, you know what? I survived that. I survived the breakups and the good, the bad, the whatever. And you fellas like yourselves have done the same thing. They don't realize if somebody walking tall, they confident, they done been through life, because everybody gets something that come at them. So they should be, as Locario said, be the type of fellas who say, okay, how did they get there? Let me talk to them. Let me see what they doing. Because if you don't feel it, because when I was younger, when I didn't feel it and stuff, and I admit, hey, I didn't. I go look at that dude who was getting all the women, or the dude who was succeeding financially. I was like, wait, what they doing? Oh, okay. All right. I'm going to do the same thing. You just learn from it. I never stopped it. See, they got to they really, like I say, it goes back to them dealing with whatever issues they had, even if they got to do with get professional help. That's the thing.
Let me go into this area because also in the comments I was called Derek Jackson 2.0, and I just want to say fuck y'all, because guess what? Derek Jackson still done.
Right.
Yeah, but I'm married, so I don't go that route. But I was getting called all that because I play devil's advocate. Because I not only do I speak with women, women are basically telling me their grievances of why they're having men. Like there's no attraction because guess what? There's no mouthpiece. It's all this aggression here and yada yada yada. And the men in the comments are just like what you said, Rob. This man's married. Well, he know. I've been married for only 8 years. That's 2013. That's at the helm of the gram, Snapchat, Tinder. Before I got married, I still wasn't even on that. So let's go ahead and play devil's advocate, and let's not be funny, Locario. Let's not be funny. Really, be honest. Give them the benefit of the doubt. What can you say has changed in dating?
Well, this is the thing. And this is the funny part. The only thing that really changed